people end up networking because they want to build their businesses. When I first started in business, I was thinking networking is the way to go. And, here's how I did it. Back about 10 years ago, I started moving out of my private practice and I started moving into coaching, consulting, and working with bigger businesses. And so I started thinking networking is the way to go because I don't know anybody. When I was in my private practice, I was blessed with this wave of clients that just came to me. It's just like everybody always wishes that you just open a practice or you open a business and people come. That's exactly how it was for me. Everybody just came and it was wonderful. I was on all kinds of panels that insurance companies were sending people to me. The problem is I wasn't making the money from those because the insurance companies were, and I got very, very lazy with how to go get business. I had no idea of how to actually go and drum up business. It was one of the problems with my prior career. Well, I transitioned from this guy who wasn't making a lot of money, helping a lot of people, to a guy who had the potential to make a lot of money and help a lot of people with their businesses. And I had a model, I had a way of doing it, and I had nobody to talk to. For a while, I sat at my house trying to figure out how I'm going to go and get business. My brother was an attorney working with startups. And so I started actually going and saying, John, bro, how do I go and find businesses? And he's like, I'll hook you up with some people. And so I went into the startup community, and there was a problem with startup community. They're broke. For the most part, startups are broke. They are taking every penny they have and putting it into their business. And so they can't really use or they don't see the reason for a consultant at that time. And usually they're busy messing up their business, so they don't have time for consultants. And so I'm sitting there with the same problem. Who do I go talk to? How do I go talk to? How do I network to build my business? It was a conundrum. It was baffling to me. I was a psychologist who was very, very good at what I was doing when I was helping people, but how to get to the people to help them, I had no idea. And so I had to start from zero. And so I started to go to chamber meetings. I started to do B&Is. I did a tip. I did all these different things. And what I noticed was that when I started going into these different networking groups, I had this weird thing that happened. I went from this guy who knew exactly what to do, exactly how to help people, to this timid guy who was afraid to talk to people. And sometimes I'd go and I'd get in there and I would look at and identify the people that I thought were really players. And they were playing. They weren't real. They were just showing that they were something. And then there was people that weren't talking to each other. And then there was people that were all over the food. There's all kinds of things going on in this group of people, but it didn't seem like anybody wanted to do business, talk about business. In fact, if you started talking about business, they'd run. I couldn't figure this networking thing out. I didn't know how to connect with these people. I didn't know what the purpose was other than I wanted to get business. And I thought that that's why they were there too. And in fact, it was why they were there. However, networking is really a strategic experience, and a lot of people don't know how to do it. Now, I've been to networking in tech. I've been in networking events in medicine. I've been in networking events in psychology. That's what my background was. I've been in chambers. I've been all kinds of different things. And one thing I noticed is nobody really knows how to network on a grand scale. Very, very few people know how to network right. Now, there's a lot of connectors, and those connectors are very good at networking, but the connectors are very different than networkers. Networking is pretty much people run into a networking event. They go and push their stuff. They see how many cards they can get, and then they put the cards away, they go home, and then they check it off their box. I went to a networking event. but did they actually accomplish anything other than go and check a box? A lot of times that's what happens, is we have been told by, well, people like me right now talking about networking, that you got to go to networking events. Well, today I want to talk about networking in a little bit different way. Now, everybody has heard, if you've been in the business world for a little while, networking events, or I should say networking, the statement I'm totally losing right now, and I got it now, is your network is your net worth. That's a statement that everybody makes when we hear about networking. In fact, I think it's probably the #1 statement that everybody uses. But what the hell does that mean? What does it mean that your network is your net worth? Does that mean if you go to networking event after networking event, you actually build your net worth? No, unfortunately, it does not work like that. Otherwise, I would have a lot more money. What it really means is building a network of people who you can call, connect with, do a deal with, and then both profit from it mutually in some way. You start to build your net worth. And the more people that you connect with, the more money you can make. That's the simple idea of it. Now, the reality is it's not just about talking to them and seeing if you can do business with them. It's about being of service. And this is the thing that I just fully 100% believe to my bones, that all networking is being of service to other people. And so many people make it events, and so many people make it thinking about how I can get something from you, that they miss the overarching idea of what networking is all about. And so we're going to break that down a little bit. When I think about networking, what I think about is really going into any situation, not just an event, not just some place that people are gathering to talk about business, but I'm talking about when I go to the grocery store, when I go to the gas station, when I go to the yard store, Home Depot. It doesn't matter where I'm going. I'm going with the idea that I don't know who I'm going to meet, but I'm curious. And so I go focused on who I'm going to meet, ask a little bit about them. And if they ask me a little bit about me, I'm going to tell them a little bit about me. And so I don't ever prejudge who I'm going to meet or how they can help me or what. Now, just a moment on that is definitely use judgment in everything you're doing. There's a lot of people that says, don't judge other people. No, judge them, because if you don't judge them, you can't measure. If you can't measure, you don't know if they're good or bad for your business. They don't know if you're good or bad for the people that you're working with, your friends. We have to have judgment.
On a scale of 1 to 5, would you give yourself a 5 on achieving what you want in life? If your answer is anything less than a 5, right now, I have something awesome for you. Achieving your goals and living your life at a 5 isn't easy. Most people aren't prepared to focus, stay disciplined, and do the everyday work that is necessary to achieve amazing results. But since you're watching this, then I'm guessing that you're not one of those people. And this is an opportunity that will change your life. Give to Get is a global program that brings together world-class coaching and combines it with empowering masterminds and networking opportunities. We provide 5-star guidance for the price of a cup of coffee a day. To find out more, click on the link in the description of this coaching session.
And so judgment is a good thing. We don't want to condemn people, but when we're walking into a networking situation, we don't want to prejudge them or have a bias towards them based on what we think. We want to have a curiosity about who are we talking to, who are we meeting in front of us, who is the next person to walk in front of us. And so there's 5 things I think about when I'm talking to somebody about what's happening and getting to know them. The first thing I always think about is, who do I know that could use their help? This new person I just met, who do I know that could use their help? The second thing that I think about is, who does this person that I just met need help from that I know? Now, the reason I do this is because the first pillar that I think about in networking is connecting other people. Morrow, from Boomerang Give to Get, the guy that put this whole thing together, came to me one day because we've networked and we have a relationship now, and we have an ongoing relationship for a number of years now. Came to me and asked me, do you know any web service guys or web development guys? And the first thing I thought of is yes. And now they actually have a relationship, a business relationship, that put Boomerang Give to Get together, because I knew Morrow and I knew Mike, his partner, and they were both good friends of mine. And I said, they need to talk to each other. And then they cut me right out. I'm just kidding. They saw how each other could help each other, and they realized that they could do something together that alone neither of them would do. And now, over a couple of years, they've actually grown it into a business that's really working for a lot of people, serving other people, helping them with personal development, helping them with financial development, helping them with business development. They've really moved into a place where they're helping hundreds of people, and it's growing every day. And that was from me networking. Now, mind you, I didn't go and ask Morrow for business, and I didn't go and ask Mike for business ever. I've had Mike help me with a bunch of stuff. I've had Morrow help me with a bunch of stuff, and I've helped them with a bunch of stuff. But never did we ask if they want to buy something from us. It just hasn't happened. Now, the interesting thing is that's the first two. Somebody who I know, this new person I can put in touch with to help them, and somebody that my friend could use now that I met you. I just met a bookkeeper the other day. He's phenomenal. And so I start thinking automatically, who do I know that needs a bookkeeper? This is how I start out my networking. Mind you, first pillar, connecting people to each other. That is my first pillar in networking. The second pillar is, are they a client? Am I a client for them? Do they have something that I can use? Because I don't know if you've ever been to Costco, but sampling stuff is a good idea. You know, do I like that stuff before I buy a big bulk thing of it? Do I like that coffee before I buy a pound of it? Do I like what is happening before I go and give it to other people? And so I think about, are they someone who can be of service to me in what I need help with? So that's another pillar. Do they have services? Are they a good person to work with? Are they easy to get along with? Do they have a good sense of humor? Do they have a good culture about them and their business? Is it somebody that I want to introduce people to? Because I don't want to be going and introducing people like Morrow, who's awesome, to somebody who's not so awesome. I want to make sure that when I make a connection for those people that I'm connecting, that they have value and that it's working for me. And the fact of the matter is I've had a number of people who I have interacted with and done business with that just didn't go smoothly. It didn't go well. They didn't have responsibility in their own business. They didn't have a way of doing what they said they were going to do that made me feel comfortable introducing them to other people. And so that's the next pillar for me is, am I their client? Are they going to be of service to me in a way that helps my business grow? Do I buy from them? Then the third one is, are they going to be my client? Is there something I can do for them? I make that very, very far away from the beginning because I want to really make sure that I understand our relationship and I understand where they're at before I offer services. As a consultant, I talk to a lot of businesses and I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and I ask a lot of questions. And so I don't have to go and try to sell somebody as much as I have to get to know people, know where they're at, know what's going on with them, know what is happening in their life. And understanding that, I can see if they're a good fit for what's going on. And we can move a conversation into, is this something that you want help with? And then we can move it into a sales conversation. But that's the fourth thing I see with people. It's the third pillar, fourth thing. The first two, am I referring one to another? That's the first two. Are they a client for a friend of mine? Is a friend of mine a client for them? That's the first pillar, but it's two things. Then am I going to be their client? That's the third thing. Or are they going to be my client? Now, when I look at that, it's because I want to really be intentional about what I'm doing. The fifth idea is very simply, are they just going to be a supporter and an encourager around my business, but don't actually have a referral power? Are they retired and not really moving in that direction? Are they somebody who I can support because our businesses are either exactly the same, which doesn't really happen, or it's just not going to work out for a referral kind of thing, but we can be supportive of each other. And so the fifth idea when I'm going to a networking situation is, are they going to be more of a supporting role? Those are the five things I think about whenever I go into a networking situation. Now, I call it a situation because I could be in Home Depot. I could be at Dairy Queen. I could be, well, that's usually drive-through, so maybe not there, but still could happen. I'd be at the gas station. I could be anywhere and network. Now, when I am going to an actual networking event, that's where we want to really start talking about tactics. And the tactics that I think about is, number one, how many people do I want to meet in each of the five categories? Here's the answer. I want to meet all of them. I want to meet everyone in that room. I want to meet everyone in that room and then categorize them, not based on what I think or based on some kind of numbers. I want to base it on one of the five categories and how do they fit by the conversation I have. And so I want to have a 2 to 5 minute conversation with each person, seeing kind of where they're at, what's going on, what they're all about, what they're looking for, how I can be of service to them, who they've worked with before, how they do what they do, in a brief overview, not a 20-minute seminar. And then understand how I can be of service to them. If they ask, I'll share what I do. Most of the time I do. Sometimes I don't, but I make sure that I have a connection with them, and I make sure that as they're walking away or somewhere in the beginning of that conversation, I make sure that I move them to a phone call later. And I usually pull out my phone. First thing, I pull out my phone. I don't know where it is right now, but I pull out my phone, pull up the calendar, say, hey, I would love to have a virtual coffee with you outside of here. Or if they're in town with me, then I do it in town and have some kind of connection call with them after the networking event, because I always want to move people to a second conversation. Now, this is because the more we connect with people, the more likely we are to be able to help each other and understand each other and create that familiarity and remove distrust. See, when we go into networking events, we're all ready for people to come at us. We're all ready to resist those people who we want to resist. And it just so happens that we end up resisting many, many people, whether we want to or not, because we're ready for who's going to come at us and try to sell us something. I don't know if anyone has ever experienced that, but I know I have. And so we want to really understand the goal is to get everyone's information and connect and move it to another meeting, another time where we can talk about what's going on. The next thing is really understanding, are we looking for clients? Are we looking to get sales appointments? And so if we are, when we're doing the networking, again, it's down the list as far as myself walking into the networking event. but I still have an idea or a goal of how many people I want to invite to a sales conversation. And so I want to invite everyone to a second conversation, but are these somebody who I'm looking for that fits my target demographic to work with? And so how many do I want when I walk in the meeting? How many referrals do I want? And how many people can I actually tactically think about connecting with somebody else? And so I have all three of those numbers, the three pillars. How many people I want to refer, how many new people I want to refer to, and how many people I want to invite to a conversation. Now, there's not too often that I go to a networking event and end up a client of somebody every time I go there. That would be a money drain. But if they really do fit what I'm looking for, then I will be more than happy to spend money with somebody from a networking event. When we're doing this, we're really wanting to be interested in them. And I have an acronym that I use whenever I'm developing relationships with anybody, and it's PLACE. And so I walk into a situation, any situation, and I'm thinking an attitude of PLACE: playful, loving, accepting, curious, and empathic. I said it very fast so that Morrow couldn't write it down. And so when I'm thinking about going into any kind of place, it makes it easy because remember, I'm going to a place, playful, loving, accepting. Accepting means not prejudging in the way I'm using it. Curious about them, wanting to know about them, and empathic, being able to connect with whatever they're going through in their daily journey. When we show up that way, people are very open and people are very wanting to connect. And so I go in having a good time, knowing I'm going to have a good time, and whoever I'm having a good time with is going to have a good time. This makes it to be a much more inviting, exciting, fun atmosphere. And by the way, I can make any kind of place I'm at a networking event. It's just simply asking people about them and being interested about what they're doing, why they're doing it, what made them interested in doing it, what do they want to do with it, where do they want to go with it. Being ultra interested in what other people are doing is the key to networking. And then because they interested you so much, they interested me so much, so you know what, I want to keep this conversation going, but I have a lot of people I want to talk to. So let's see what we can do to make an appointment to talk again. When are you available? Pull out the phone. I got some openings this week. How's this week for you? It's very natural, very easy when we're having a good time. Now, too many people go into networking events and they're not having a good time. They're nervous. They're not sure how to talk to people. They don't want to look around. They kind of hide in the corner or whatever. And then if they do try to make an appointment, they're like, oh my God, and it's very awkward. And then making an appointment in that awkward situation. How can you make an appointment after you're already awkward? Hey, do you want to make an appointment tomorrow to have some more awkward time? It'd be awesome. Nobody wants that. And so when we think about place, walking into a situation, playful, loving, accepting, curious, and empathic, we walk in having a good time, inviting other people to have a good time, and make appointments to have a good time later. It is the simplest, easiest way to move people to another conversation. I want you to think about what happens if every person you meet, you can move into a second conversation and a third conversation and a fourth conversation. What happens in my life is after 2 or 3 conversations, we always start moving towards what can we do together? How can we work together because I like you? And as I'm talking to them, they start thinking about how they can help me. They think about how I've helped other people. They think about maybe I can help them. And I'm thinking about the same thing. I was talking to an artist today, amazing artist. He worked with Lucas Studios. He did all kinds of Star Wars drawings. Amazing guy. And we're talking about doing some work together at Generator and bringing on somebody with some art ability to do some of the work with our clients. And at the same time, he's wanting to build his network of real estate, because he also does real estate, and this guy's a go-getter. And so my first thing when I'm thinking about him is, who do I know that has money that can invest in his real estate deals? Who do I know that could use his artistic abilities? Who do I know that I can build him up and get him excited about what we're doing? Because that's, for me, the way to network. It doesn't matter about what happens to me. A guy years ago, I think about maybe 20 years ago, told me, it doesn't matter what you think about them or they think about you. It matters what you think about them and how you want to help them. Because it's not your job to take care of yourself. It's your job to take care of other people. And as you do that, you will be taken care of. And this gets to the crux of that idea. It gets to the crux of the idea that networking is about service. Because as long as we're out there taking care of other people, it's always going to come back. People are going to see what you're all about. People are going to see what you're doing. People are going to see that you are looking to help other people. When we got involved in our chamber, Christine and I, when we got involved in our chamber, well, the first time I got involved in it, I went in there the wrong way. Years ago, I went in there looking for business and it didn't work, and I ended up quitting very quickly. But Christine, when she joined Generator and we created Generator Coaching, she said, I like to be of service to people. It's something that's been missing out of my life. And we used to do it at Starbucks. Christine used to work at Starbucks. And she said, it's been missing out of my life for a long time, and I want to be of service. And so I said, the chamber is a perfect place where we can go be of service. And we don't even have to worry about if we get work out of there or business out of there or anything like that. But it's a perfect place where we can be of service. And beep, light goes off in my head at that point, that that's something that was missing out of my business and something that was missing out of me when I was trying to run my business myself as a one-person consultant, trying to figure out where to get people. And so we went in with an attitude of place, an attitude of service, an attitude of how we can help. And our business exploded in the chamber. And we, last year, we won awards for Ambassador of the Year and Business of the Year, giving back to the community. And we did not because we thought, hey, let's go win awards. We did because we thought, hey, how can we help? How can we be of service? How can we help all of these different businesses that were where I was, alone, empty, not knowing how to grow? How can I be of service to them? And it's funny because we started growing very fast in that chamber. And so some things that I want to talk about a little bit is, when you get into a networking event, now this is not just the events themselves, but even in the grocery store or whatnot, how are you holding yourself? How are you showing up? How are you talking to people? Are you talking more about what you do, or are you listening and asking questions about what they do? How are you thinking about how to interact with these people? How are you identifying who you already know that you can introduce to these new people? How are you thinking about who you already know that can help this person you just met move forward faster? See, this is the key to any networking, and it is the key to networking yourself to $1 million. It's to stop thinking about what you can get out of it and start thinking about what you can give. And really, that's what Give to Get is all about. Give to Get, Boomerang Give to Get, is all about this thinking of how we can give to other people, how we can bring other people into a community that's givers, how we can help people grow, how we can help people change, how we can help people reach that next level that they want. See, networking is all about being of service to others. I had it wrong years ago when I started doing it. I thought that networking was all about going out to an event and plucking people out like I was going fishing, getting some business, doing really well, and then everybody see how great I was. And then in the networking events, talk about me, talk about what I've done, talk about how great I am. And it didn't get me anywhere. And I realized, because it's not about me, it's not about what I can do, it's about what other people are there for. It's about being of service to those other people that show up, because sometimes they show up and they don't even know what they need. They're just not where they want to be. And so when we can ask them what they're all about, ask them what they're looking for, and connect them with other people that can help them, they start to grow and they start to open up, and everyone remembers who helped them. Everyone, don't they? And so how do you show up? How do you show up? What is it about you that you back away, hide in a corner? What's going on with you if you're that type of person? I know I've been there. I get on the phone and pretend I got a phone call and leave. I'm too busy. I gotta go. Actually scared to death. I need to go. Why? Because I was listening to my head. I was not in place. I was in, oh shit. And so, are you the person that goes in there like a bulldozer? Start handing out your card. We got a guy who is in one of our networking groups who walks in with a couple gallons of water and water filtration systems and back things and metabolic things and magnet things. That's where I was looking for, magnets, and just brings all this shit like here. And everybody's like, whoa, it's like a bomb went off. And nobody knows what to do with this guy. Are you that kind of person? If you are, what's going on in here? Dial it back. Identify what's going on. Stop trying to tell everybody else about what you got going on, and start asking them about what they got going on. Your networking is going to change amazingly. Are you the person that goes and just does small talk and moves around small talk and doesn't say what you do? Doesn't make the appointment? Well, make some appointments. Move it to another call. Make a decision how many people you're going to move to an appointment, whether it's just for coffee, but then start moving towards making an appointment to talk about what you do and how you can help them. Make it intentional. Whatever you do, no matter what type of person you are, and there's several other types of people that show up in networking meetings. I gave you a few examples, but if you're showing up and you're not getting any results, you're not growing your network, it's stale, it's boring. If it's stale and boring, it's because you did it wrong. That's the only reason. I go to a lot of networking events and I hear people saying, oh, nothing happened. And I had a great time. I either built a connection, I built a business out of it, or built more business out of it. I've hooked people up. You got to look at why you're going. And so if you want to network your way to $1 million business, the very simple answer is be intentional about what you're going to do when you get there. Be intentional about what you're doing when you're there. Be intentional about who you're going to connect with, who you're going to connect other people with, who you're going to be supportive of. Be intentional about who you're going to invite to a sales conversation. Be intentional about continuing conversations. And start building your business, because you don't know who those people you connected with know. And that's what networking is all about. Think about a spider web. You might connect with this person, but this person knows this person, this person, this person. That person knows this person, this person, this person. And so as you go and you connect with more and more people, you start developing a network that has a lot of money in it. Some people have a little bit, some people have a lot, but everyone knows someone. And the more that you show up from an attitude of place, being interested in helping other people out, the better it's going to be. Because as you go around helping people, offering your services, for sure, I think that that needs to happen whenever it makes sense. Makes sense, not just because you're talking to somebody. It doesn't make sense if they're just right in front of you. It makes sense if they have a problem you solve. So that's the final thing I think about. Too many people go into networking, know that they have a product, know that they have a service, but they have no idea what problem they solve. They think because they're a consultant, or they think because they're a real estate agent, or they think because they're a network marketer, that their product is what people want. But really, you got to understand the problem you solve so that you can be listening when you're talking to people, so they can start talking about your problem. And then you can ask them how it affects them. You're going to ask them, would they like help with that? It's a much more elegant way to go. And a lot of people don't have the problem that you solve. They might be interested in your product as a way of thinking about things, but they might not want your product. They might not be your client. They might not be anybody's client. I know a number of retired people that go to our chamber that aren't anybody's client, really. They just like the interaction. Understanding that they're not my client, but having a conversation anyway, helps us to get business through them, through the support. And so it's really about being intentional and being thoughtful about how you're networking. The more you're in tune, the more you're attuned to your audience, the more you're connected with your audience and focused on what their needs are, what their desires are, the better networking experience you're going to have. And you're going to move into a referral business that booms because you're connecting with people instead of trying to get business. I've tried the try to get business thing. I tried the service thing. When I started doing the service thing and see how I can be of service, and then of course, ask for the meeting, and then in the sales conversation, ask for the sale, my business exploded. But I went about it in a very, very thoughtful, intentional way, going from a place of service, thinking about how we can add to the situation without taking away. So if you want to build your business through networking, networking is all about connection with people on a service basis, a service plane. That's how you do it. It's very easy to build $1 million business when you network right. The first thing you want to think about is every person that you meet, you can network with. The second thing you think about is who can I connect them with? The third thing is how can we work together in some way? Whether I'm their client or they're my client. Doesn't matter which way. It matters that you have the conversation. It matters what you can do to add to the situation without taking away. So the action items are very simply, be intentional. Set some goals before you go into any kind of situation. When I go to a grocery store or whatnot, when I think about that, I think about who am I going to meet there at the same time. It's more difficult with the masks because masks just create a barrier. So I understand if people are having trouble with that. But go out of your way to say hi to people anyway. Go out of your way to smile at them. They can see it in the eyes. Go out of your way to be friendly, play, accept, love, be curious, be empathic. When you do those things in the networking vein, you start to build goodwill everywhere. And so that's what this is all about today. Building your business through networking to $1 million. So thank you, everybody. Terry Wager, Generator Coaching. Reach out to me, generatorcc.com. You can find me on the Boomerang Give to Get website. We love you all. If there's anything I can do to help you in your networking or business building adventures, I'd love to help.